And I've been chillin', watching the ocean with you. Baby, up with a slow motion crew. And we up in our cloudlands when people change, but not us. And we just chillin', kicking it, kissed by the sun.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Masaki from State 483, and today we're going to do a quick video on the top 5, I think, the worst things to have happened in 2021 to a state of survival. So I noticed that, last time I think the first time I made one of these opinion videos, people really actually liked it. So I figured I'll just kind of go on and make a couple more. My intent long term is I do want to make sure that these videos get some attention from the developers of SOS, in hopes that this means that, long term they can take some of the feedback from the community and then be able to really improve the game. So without further ado, let's talk about the 5 things that I felt like did not really meet the bar in 2021 for me. So number 1 is the lag issue. This issue's been going on for like almost a year now. With a brief fix, I think around Christmas time, with one of the updates, they did briefly fix it to the point where it's, fairly usable, and I didn't really notice the lags issue. And I think around the MIGO update, that introduced the crystal event, and now it's very laggy once again. So I don't know what needs to be done specifically, and I have had my suspicion that this is somewhat related to memory leak, but it's really in their hands to fix. And honestly, as an end user on at least iOS, I just noticed that if you play the game for more than about 30 minutes at a time, or if you shut off the screen, switch to a different app, come back, you'll notice this lag issue being very prevalent. So something to go fix. I have reported this to the development team, but I haven't really heard anything back. So I figured they probably know about it, hopefully. Yeah. Number 2 is that I think MIGO continues to be a huge time and money sink. Now, MIGO events, or ETH, or whatever you want to call them, basically these seasonal events that happen in the game where it has a nice leaderboard. In some ways, it's really good because it does give the players a lot of good rewards, which I really appreciate. I think the ways that it's really, really bad is that there are so many tasks for dailies. There are so many things that are required. Now, I will say this, right? In 2021, from the first MIGO event to what it is now, it has gotten so much better. However, it continues to be very, utilize a lot of time and sinks a lot of money. And then you have this pressure to really maximize your MIGO points every week. Because if you, for example, don't do all of your Intel MIGOs, even for a day, you'll fall way behind. And that's really, really bad. Basically, the second part is this, wall breakers are cool, I think, but the problem with wall breakers is that there's really no defense against them, and it kind of makes it so that, like, the game, I guess, it makes it so that you can strategically use this tool, but at the same time, you don't really have a way to work around it, which is kind of annoying. Again, the third thing is, of course, it forces people to unlock it because, again, it's one of those things where if you don't have it and other people have wall breakers, and you are severely detrimented, right? Especially for that first SVS, usually when MIGO starts. If majority of players in your state have it, it can be actually very advantageous for you during that first war. This has been fixed, but in 2021, the MIGO buffs, if everyone remembers, all the way up until like the mushroom events, were super bugged. What that means is that, like, you could be joining a event or joining a state versus state in a different alliance and realize that all of your MIGO buffs are not applicable. So that's the small benefits from individual members of the alliance. They were not adding unless you were in the alliance for a long time. So there were some buffs that were broken. Now, again, that's fixed for now, so that's good. But the fact that they were broken at all was really a big problem, especially for SVS. All right, so number 3 is that I still think some of the rewards, some of the event rewards are still super thin. So here's some examples, right? The Christmas event, if you played it, it definitely felt it was much, much thinner than the airship event, even though they ran both events very similarly, like with multi-events every day, rewards all throughout. Like I remember doing the airship event. You got a March skin. You have attack animations. You had you could very, it's possible to get the HQ skin, very decent chance. Unlike this Christmas event, it just felt like it was impossible. The New Year's event, the Chinese New Year event that just happened, if you did it, the 10th box was supposed to be the special box and all that stuff. But so many players were super disappointed because the 10th box gave them like 4 hours of speed ups. Honestly, if they just guarantee the 10th box, like minimum reward would be something like 10 or 20 plasma, I think a lot of players would be very happy. And of course, upwards where you can get a skin or something, that'd be really good too. Joker event, I don't know what happened, but like the Daryl event, for example, you could use Daryl in a special mini game, walk through the map, kind of have little story elements. You grab items that you build Daryl, and you kind of have like benefit the entire play. But the Joker event was just really, really thin. Like, I mean, you had kind of like a battle style thing. Maybe it's almost like a simulated base attack thing with the Arena of Doom. And then you had the story mode, which I did appreciate. The story mode wasn't too bad. It was pretty interesting. And then you have the draw event for the fragments, which I felt was very punishing for most players. I mean, essentially the draw event was you gain all these tickets, but for example, the rate is usually around 10 tickets for 5 Joker frags. So the event makes you feel like you're going to be able to get enough Joker frags, but most players is able to only get like 1 or 2 star free to play for Joker, and you really have to spend money if you really want to get Joker anywhere near 3 star or 4 star for that resonating hero. And that's really like problem, because I feel like we need to give more players at least a 3 star 100% resonating heroes, instead of like just limiting them to heroes that can only essentially resonate with purples, right? So I don't think I've done a guide on resonating heroes, but I'll do a guide for everyone so I can show you what I mean. But basically, essentially, a resonating hero that is not at least 3 star or 100% resonance basically is pretty useless for that player. Yeah. So I think in general, like the idea here for the Joker event is like, or any event, is don't lock fun behind a huge paywall. Have ways that players who really want to earn the rewards can spend the time to earn the rewards, and have, obviously shortcuts for players that want to spend the money to earn those rewards or get more rewards. But I think it's kind of like, it's a feel bad if you, for example, give a new hero but only give them 10 frags, right? So this is very similar for the newest hero like Minami. Most players, if you just gone through the daily event, I mean, there was literally one slot here. I think it was like day 4. You got 10 badges or 10 frags for like for the other Japanese hero. Like, it's kind of annoying. Like, this is the event that's supposed to be where you unlock this new resonating hero, but you instead got frags for the other hero, and that was very confusing. So that's why they sent everybody 5 extra frags. But seriously, you should just send like 10 in the daily login and reward. Like, give people 20 frags, 25, 30. Honestly, enough to get 3 stars is enough. And then have all the pay players, if they want to get up to 5 stars, maybe even make the heroes slightly better. I'm okay with that. I just think that like having these heroes that players supposedly get excited for, and not being able to get them to a level where they can really resonate with like their orange heroes, really makes it a huge problem. Number 4 thing that I think SOS really failed in is that they really need more ways to drain in-game resources without providing more to force to spend. So what I kind of mean by that is like, I appreciate a game having a healthy economy where you take resources that you give in the game freely, and then you figure out ways to drain them. For example, like, you notice your buildings get more expensive as you upgrade. That's expected because you really don't want resource inflation in the game, right? So there's some healthy ways to do this. For example, I think the trading station is a great way to do it, where you can trade resources for like speed ups. You can trade resources for, like a advanced relocator. Those are really great ways to drain those resources. I think in general, like having frags for heroes, but the heroes kind of tier up. For example, like once you unlock Gen 7, you're not really going to use generic frags for Gen 6 or Gen 5 or earlier. And, for example, right now, I don't really care about Maddie frags anymore because she's Gen 1 and she's not that good. So the fact that those frags kind of generally over time drain through the system and become less powerful, less useful, that's fine too. I think that's expected and that's a good way to drain. Now, what are some bad ways? As an example, Troll Squad was introduced in Gen 7. Basically, if you look at the chart, Troll Squad just requires more frags. But the game isn't somehow giving you more frags because the Troll Squad is introduced in this season. What does that mean? That just means that if you want to do Troll Squad in addition to getting your Gen 7 heroes to, like, let's say 3 stars, well, you're going to need to buy some frags because the game, you can kind of only go so many frags from the game by just kind of free to play and winning rewards. So the other thing is like, for example, like the Halloween event, I appreciate the fact that they thought about different ways to drain things like speed ups, to get more candy for events like Halloween, right? That's fine. That's really good. The problem I have is that they kind of only targeted like key resources like generic legendary frags or plasma or speed up. These are all things that players need for other parts of the game. I think it would have been nicer if they drained some like purple frags, like kind of like a recycling event. A true recycling event, not really using the best resources, but using maybe the worst. Now, I know that the target is more for maybe the top players, but again, it's one of those things where if you provide a system where players can use those resources to get ahead in the event, it really leaves the players who cannot, sacrifice those resources far behind. And so I don't know how many top players are like, I don't need any generic legendary frags or speed ups or plasma, because as far as I know, even the top players in my state still require these items. So it's kind of a weird thing to drain, right? You drain resources that are useless, not drain resources that are useful. So again, basically it benefits the paying players more, but honestly leaves everybody behind because if you drain plasma from players, they can't finish the upgrades, which again are still more expensive as you go forward, right? With polymerized plasma, etc. So it really doesn't matter. Cheap gears and badges are one of the worst offenders of this. Like the tiers have gone really high. What I mean by that is earlier you have just like one tier. And of course they start then going 2, 3, and then there are sub tiers, for example, for cheap gear. It's even now I'm in orange, and the requirement for example, alloy, which you can kind of farm, it's like 80K, 84K for like one upgrade. And that's like one of 4 sub upgrades before I even get to red. And then within red, there's like, sub classes of those. For example, you have like red 1 star, red 2 star, red 3 star, like that. It's pretty crazy, right? So it gets, pretty insane in the amount of like tiering they get and how much resources are necessary to do those upgrades. And the game hasn't really updated to accommodate this, right? You play events, like for example, they recently updated Trap a little bit to give more rewards, but honestly, it's not enough. If you look at where are you getting these alloys? Like if 84K is for one upgrade, how would you amass that amount of alloy without spending? And it's really, if the game wants to survive, you really have to think about catering both to the playing players, but also the free-to-play, because without those players, the game will die. I don't care how many people are willing to spend on the game, but without the players who are just going to stick around and kind of make a population numerous, the game will eventually end. Yeah. And on a similar vein, like plasma research, the amount of some of the plasma research is pretty insane. If you look at like further along in the plasma research lab, you're looking at like 500, 600, 700 plasma for one research out of 10. So a 10-step research costs like 7K plasma. Seems pretty steep. So I think the last one, and probably I would say is the most important, is that I really felt like in 2021 SOS could have done a huge job to really build the community, and I felt like it was pretty weak. So really early on, they introduced the in-game stream program. First I thought it was kind of interesting, right? I don't know if it's going to be good or not, but over time I realized it's kind of another cash grab. I can't believe they inside the in-game stream they're building like reward tiers, right? Where if you pay money, then you get a higher tier for I guess donations to the streamers. Then pretty early on, I did talk to a couple streamers and just asked like, how much are they paying you? Like for example, I think one of the earlier ones was like a casino or something that cost like $99. $99 real in game, no, not in game, just real life money to buy something that you can donate to the streamers. So I asked like streamers like, how much do you get when somebody buys that? They told me 10%. That's crazy, man. Like 10% is the fee that most platforms charge, not the meat of the thing. Like most of the time, if you get paid, you pay 10%, up to 20% in fees, not the other way around. That's crazy. I mean, if you really want players, streamers to stream so they can like really build the community and that kind of things, I think you should pay them more. I mean, I don't know why the revenue split is 10-90 in favor of SOS. The other thing is like where in general are all the community events? I mean, I've seen a lot of other games. The airship event is like one of these things, but man, I've seen games that really go crazy on community events, whereby like the entire SOS, not just one state, all the states together work together to kind of contribute to some sort of like event, right? Like let's say we're all killing zombies and building up, like very similar to when a state first starts up. You know how we have like those statewide events? I think that's really great. Why don't we make those worldwide events, right? If we all kill X amount of zombies before a week ends, then everybody gets some sort of like reward all across. We can even bundle in the MIGO states to do this, right? So you don't have to do it for like all 900 states. You can do it for 7 to 10 states. And that would be kind of fun too. But these are the things that would build community more than something like, hey, here's a joint channel for you to chat in, or here's a Ferrari or, a Lambo that you can win. Like, it's cool, but I think that amount of money could have been spent better to help all the people in the game, right? Rather than like some. Yeah. Even things like, for example, let's say, hey, can we as a state spend 10 million biocaps within like one day, right? And if you think about it, an event like this is kind of like nice too, because you're draining resources, right? So it goes back to the original point, but you're building towards something. So it's like, it's kind of fun, right? Or, hey, once everybody gathers X amount of resources together, then the server gets some sort of buff. These kind of events, they should just run on a weekly, monthly basis. And that, I think, really will build community across the entire game. All right, so overall, I mean, again, I'm saying all these things because I really like the game. I really like the community that we have built. I don't want to lose that. So I think SOS really needs to think these things through. At some point, they're going to burn through all the potential customers and then realize that they have neglected the free-to-play players. And to be honest, once they leave, they're basically your whales will go too. So this goes to my point before. Like, this is why games have free-to-play players, because it fuels that 5-10% spenders that they have. And without those 5 to 10% spenders, the whole entire game dies because you won't have revenue. And maybe that's okay for them, but I think, sometimes it's okay to let go of some short-term gains for long-term wins. Yeah, I'm really hoping SOS stays, active for many, many years. But sometimes games like this honestly just die if they don't really care about the community over long term. So I hope that doesn't happen. Anyways, this is Masaki. Sorry for a depressing video in the new year. And usually I think most YouTubers send these videos out in 2021 at the end of the year, but I'm a little late, so, sue me, right? Anyways, Masaki, State 43. I hope you guys all have a great day and stay classy.